He described the Army High Command as inspirational in guiding the cause of professionalism in the armed forces and challenged the newly promoted officers to exude the ethics and discipline that married them to their new ranks.
It is very important that we behave ourselves according to the ethics of the profession, by remembering the oaths you took, and by remembering that, like the Chief of Defense Staff just said, you have chosen a profession. It's a very noble profession, and it calls for sacrifice.
Having been availed the opportunities to pursue high standards of education and undertaking overseas training programs, Naval Commander Barrow, who is now promoted to Naval Captain, assured of delivering the goods as expected.
We will continue to work hard and redouble our efforts to meet the new task ahead of us.
Abubakar Dabo, Grts.
Representatives of various local development agencies, civil society organizations, and private sector operators recently gathered for the first policy dialogue staged by the Association of Non-Governmental Organizations. The convergence is expected to promote the sharing of best practice and networking for sustainable development. Louis Mende reports.
Tango Policy Awareness Dialogue, which was recently launched, is a bi-monthly awareness creation and advocacy forum that brings together policy and decision makers, development workers, researchers, and the public to discuss key relevant and national development issues. It is convened under the auspices of a 4-year project support to human and institutional capacity of Tango and funded by African Capacity Building Foundation. The maiden dialogue on the theme Rethinking National Development from the Output to Outcomes depicts the importance and objective of the forum, which centers on the analytical overview of the Gambia's development process since independence, citing challenges and successes registered and mapping our strategies for a more progressive future.
The launch of the Tango Policy Dialogues will be the first time that NGOs are creating amongst themselves a mechanism for not only engaging in public policy review and monitoring, but also in leveraging our potential for peer review and the development and sharing of information and best practices. It will also provide an opportunity for NGOs to highlight their challenges within the context of policy environment and map out ways to improve, promote, and strengthen their participation in national development.
Now, the objective of this forum is really to share with our NGO civil society organizations the merits in participating in policy dialogue. This has been not quite effective, so we thought that as Tango we should kickstart this process so that our members can effectively participate in policy dialogues before they are formulated.
Experts from diverse institutions went on to dilate on issues believed to be crucial to the socio-economic and sustainable growth of the nation, alluding to the role of private sector and civil service in national development. Aside from the detailed analysis of the socio-economic development of the Gambia during the first, the numerous development strides ushered in the area of health and food self-sufficiency, especially by the current administration, Benjamin Roberts maintained that much needs to be done for the attainment of Vision 2020, which strives on free market policies and a vibrant private sector, amongst other things.
What is more important right now is for us to focus on monitoring and ensuring that those programs and the targets that we have set are being monitored and implemented to ensure that the requisite funding, is achieved for the indicated programs. I think, as I had indicated earlier, the financial industry has a key role to play in this, because we have to also sort of reduce our dependence on external funding, from donors. Yes, we need them, but we don't have to be dependent on them. And this is where the financial sector, and by that I mean the commercial banks, have to come in and play the requisite role and support. I believe that and it would go a long way in helping the economic development aspirations of this country.
Modu Seka of the Ministry of Finance emphasized that for a nation to develop, it needs to get certain fundamentals right. These fundamentals, he said, includes economic stability and growth and the availability of human capital development. For Baimatar Drame of the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, building productive capacity as a nation needs the incorporation of adequate policies in 3 economic sectors, namely agriculture, industry, and services, and other critical areas such as energy, institutional and legislative framework for business, private sector development, environmental policies, and decent employment. It is with optimism that periodic forums of this nature will effectively nurture openness and transparency that are crucial to both the private sector and government's mandate and will contribute immensely in sustainable economic development and social progress of the nation. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
40 Gambian beneficiaries of scholarship packages provided by Taiwan under its International Cooperation Development Fund are about to leave for Taiwan. The 40, who were to pursue a range of certificate and degree programs, were briefed on what to expect while in the island nation. Mama J reports.
The International Cooperation Development Fund is an internationally recognized scholarship scheme. According to officials, out of the 135 scholarship package offered by the ICDF this year, the Gambia was lucky to secure 20% of the awards with a total of 27 scholarships. The Taiwanese ambassador to the Gambia, Richard C., described the move as unprecedented. For the first time, a single country won such a percentage since the inception of the scholarship scheme.
Academic standard, academic request is very tough in Taiwan. But I'm confident you will not disappoint the leader who I just mentioned, who led the solid foundation of education in the Gambia, Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh. Yeah. Only two things I humbly request all of you to follow when you are in Taiwan.
The Permanent Secretary, Office of the President, Sekou Toure, underscored the importance of human resource development, which he said is key in meaningful development.
We have the institutions, we have the vehicles, we have the computers, we have our TV stations, and etc. But without efficient and effective and adequate human resource in place, it is tantamount to nothing.
For the Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ami Nyan, the ceremony marks another milestone in the bilateral development cooperation between the government of the Gambia and the Republic of China on Taiwan. She thanked Taiwan for complementing the efforts of the government in the education sector.
Taiwan has been a reliable and committed partner of the Republic of the Gambia in the pursuit of the latter's development agenda, particularly in the area of education. And this is manifested by the record-breaking number of Gambian students that have been awarded the International Cooperation and Development Fund, ICDF, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, MOFA and Mandarin scholarships this year.
A representative of the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Musa Toure, lauded the initiative and urged the beneficiary students to make best use of the opportunities provided to them. Toure further urged them to live up to expectations and serve as good ambassadors of the Gambia. Mama J, GRTS.
A task force set up by the Ministry of Youth and Sports Thursday held a press conference at the Independence Stadium to address issues hindering their progress, as mandated by the Sports Ministry. Naibusu reports that the 5-member committee that constitutes eminent sporting personalities is tasked with the responsibility of deliberating on existing problems affecting Gambian football.
After the 2005 Under-17 tournament, the feeling of everybody in this country regarding football was very, very pleasant. And we want to bring that feeling back. And the only way we can do it is to have a winning team.
Omar Salah and his committee are tasked by the Ministry of Youth and Sports to bring back football to its glorious days. The team, according to Youth and Sports officials, is set up to look into the management of the national football teams, being the Senior Scorpions, the Under-17 and the Under-20.
Our main aim is to harmonize, like I said, all the efforts by all stakeholders with a view to bring sports or football back to its lost glories.
The task force is also mandated to provide surgical analysis of roles and responsibilities that should exist between the Gambia government, the Gambia Football Association and other stakeholders, particularly the Gambia for Goal.